So let's talk about building something incredible. A team that's not just good, but absolutely unbeatable. We're going to treat this like a real construction project, starting from the ground up with a solid blueprint for creating a highly engaged team. So go ahead and grab your hard hat, because we're about to get to work.
But first, let me ask you a tough question. Take a hard look at your team. Are they genuinely, truly engaged? Or are they just compliant? Showing up, clocking in, and doing just enough not to get fired. There's a world of difference between the two. And that difference is what separates the legendary teams from the forgettable ones.
To get to legendary, we're going to follow this exact 4-part blueprint. First, we lay the foundation by getting the right people on the bus. Then, we'll put up the framework with solid leadership and crystal clear goals. After that, we power the whole thing up with a motivational engine. And finally, we'll wire it all together with coaching that truly connects.
All right, let's get to it. Section 1. You can't build a skyscraper on a shaky foundation, right? It's the same with a team. The people you hire are your foundation. If you get this part right, honestly, everything else becomes so much easier.
This quote from Southwest co-founder Herb Kelleher just completely flips the script on traditional hiring. Think about it. He's saying he'd rather take someone with less experience but a fantastic attitude over a genius with a bad one. Why? Because you can teach someone how to use a new software program. You can't teach them how to be optimistic or a team player. That's baked into their DNA.
So what does this right DNA look like when you're interviewing somebody? You're looking for things you can't really teach. That genuine spark in their eye when they talk about the work. A real deep passion for what they do. You want people who are obsessed with the final result, not just the process. And, this is a big one, when something goes wrong, do they point fingers or do they take ownership? That's what you're looking for.
It really boils down to this one simple, incredibly powerful idea. Hire for attitude and train for skill. When you build a team of people with the right mindset from the get-go, you're building a team that's naturally resilient, collaborative, and driven. The skills? They'll come. But that attitude is the bedrock.
Okay, our foundation is poured and solid. Now it's time to put up the framework. This is about creating the structure, the leadership, the direction, the guardrails that lets all those amazing people you hired really shine. And to do that, you have to understand the iceberg principle. You know how this works, right? When you see an iceberg, you're only seeing the tiny 10% that's sticking out of the water. With people, that visible part is their actions and their results. It's what we tend to focus on, but it's not the whole story, not even close. Because underneath the surface, that's where the real drivers are. A person's actions are dictated by their skills, sure, but also by their deep-seated beliefs, their core values, even their sense of who they are, their identity. Really great leadership development goes beyond just teaching skills. It gets down to this deeper level to help shape beliefs and align values. That's where true transformation happens.
Now, a huge part of that leadership framework is setting goals that actually mean something. The SMART goal system is a classic for a very good reason. It stops you from saying vague things like, let's grow the business, and forces you to get concrete. It gives everyone a clear finish line to run towards.
And you can literally just plug your objectives into a simple formula like this one. You start with an action verb, define what you're targeting, give it a hard number, and slap a deadline on it. Boom! Suddenly, everyone on the team knows exactly what winning looks like. There's no ambiguity.
So, we have a solid foundation of great people and a strong framework of leadership and goals. But a building without power is just an empty shell, right? Now, we need to install the engine. We need to create an environment that's buzzing with energy and motivation.
Let me tell you a quick story that shows this perfectly. There was this school called the TKN School, and to be honest, it wasn't doing very well. But then they did something interesting. They hired a whole wave of young, super ambitious, and hungry new teachers. The whole energy of the place started to shift.
Then, the administration did something brilliant. They turned improvement into a game. They set up a friendly competition where teacher bonuses and recognition were tied directly to how much their students' test scores improved. Suddenly, there was a clear, measurable way to win.
And the result was staggering. This healthy competition lit a fire under everyone. Teachers, both new and old, started sharing strategies, trying new things, and pushing each other to be better. In just a couple of years, the school completely turned around. It just goes to show you, the right kind of game can be an incredible motivator.
Now, you might be thinking, okay, that's a school. How does this apply to my business? Well, you can gamify almost any key metric. A super powerful way to do this, especially for a sales team, is the 5-way revenue formula. Instead of just chasing one big revenue number, you break it down into the 5 levers that actually create that revenue. Now you have 5 different games you can play.
And here is where the magic happens. Let's say your starting revenue is 200 grand. Now, what if you could get your team to improve each of those 5 areas by just 10%? Just a small, manageable bump in each one. The impact isn't small at all.
Because those small wins don't just add up, they compound on each other. That little 10% push across the board results in a nearly 46% explosion in total revenue. It's unbelievable. It proves that focusing your team on small, winnable battles can lead to a massive victory. Okay, foundation? Check. Framework? Check. Engine? Check. We're on the home stretch. The final, and I'd argue, most important step is to wire everything together. This is where we move beyond just being a manager and become a true coach. It's about connecting with your people to unlock everything they've got.
And here's why that's so critical. Most people, on a day-to-day basis, are only tapping into maybe 10% of their full potential. The other 90% is just sitting there untapped. See, a manager's job is to direct that 10%. A coach's job is to help that person discover the other 90% for themselves.
To be a great coach, you have to know who you're coaching. You can't use the same playbook for every person. Simple frameworks like the DISC model are amazing for this. It's a quick way to understand if someone is more of a direct, results-driven D type or maybe a more steady, patient S type. When you know their style, you can adapt your approach to what actually motivates them.
But really, all great coaching boils down to one central idea. You are not the hero of the story. Your employees are. Your job is to make them shine. Let them take the credit in front of the big boss. Champion their ideas, even the crazy ones. Actually listen when they give you feedback. You need to be their mentor in the background, not the star on the stage.
So, when you put it all together, you realize that building a truly engaged team isn't a project with an end date. You don't just finish and walk away. It's an ongoing journey. Like any great building, it requires constant maintenance. You have to check the foundation, reinforce the frame, tune the engine, and strengthen those connections every single day.
And so, I'll leave you with a challenge. Thinking about everything we've just built together, from hiring for attitude, to setting SMART goals, to making your team the hero, what is the one single thing you can commit to doing tomorrow to make your team's foundation just a little bit stronger? That's where it all begins.